So in the last class we saw how to we saw the web application structure. I'm sorry, we saw the web application structure, and we have gone through the important elements of web applications. So today we'll see how to create a web project. Yes. So are you people able to install Tomcat server? Were you able to install Tomcat server, all of you? So let me know if you got any trouble installing it. Okay. Yes. So as I told you people, I'll be available after 8:30 a.m. Indian time. So you can just message me in WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay. Just a second. Okay. So first of all, I'll show you people how to integrate Tomcat server with Eclipse IDE. Once you're done installing Tomcat server, so we need to integrate a Tomcat server with Eclipse IDE. Okay. Yes. So there is a need to install Tomcat server with Eclipse IDE. Yes. So I'll show you people what I did is I've installed Tomcat server here in this C drive. You see, um, in the C drive, I have this Tomcat server 7. Okay. Yes. Actually, by default, it will while installing the Tomcat server, it will provide you uh, a path. By it refers to the program files. So it will recommend you people. The installer will recommend you people to install the Tomcat server in the program files. But it is better to install it in the C drive, not in the program files, because there will be some restrictions on the program files folder. You'll have program files folder, right? So you'll have some restrictions. So you better install it somewhere else. Yeah. You see, this is my Tomcat server. So I've installed it here, Tomcat 7.0. Okay. So we call it as an installation folder. It is called as an installation folder. Yes. Okay. So in the installation folder, you'll find this. That means your Tomcat server, I can say. Okay, installation directory where you have this Tomcat server now. So these are all the files related to your Tomcat server. Okay, so I have it here in this Tomcat 7 folder. So you see, one of the most important folder is web apps. You'll find that. So web apps folder is mainly used to deploy applications. Okay, so you see, in the web apps folder you'll have the applications. So you see, these are all, each folder represents an application. Each folder, it represents an application. Yes. Here you'll find that, just a second, you'll find that the web application which we develop. Okay, after developing the web application, we have to deploy that web application in this folder, web apps folder, or we have to add it to this folder. So you got the point, all of you. So we need to add your application to this folder. So this is the place where your applications will reside. Okay, the web applications which we develop, they will reside in this folder. That is what I can say. Okay, yes. So you see, in this Tomcat installation folder, we have other files also. Let me just brief you people on that. For example, we got a bin folder. So in the bin folder, you'll see startup scripts to start the server and to stop the server. So you've got some executable files. That is what you'll find in the bin folder. Okay. Next, you got conf folder, conf, where you'll have all the configuration related details of the server, all the configuration details of the server. So you should see that here in this folder. Okay. Next, you got a lib directory here. So in this lib directory, you'll find all the files. All the jars, I'm sorry, which will be used by this server. Okay. So all the jars here itself, you should see servlet and JSP APIs as well. Okay. So generally, we don't install Enterprise Edition separately. So we install Java Standard Edition, right? Similarly, you'll find that we won't install Enterprise Edition separately. Along with this, application servers, web servers itself, you'll get all the libraries related to Enterprise Edition most of the times. You got it? Yes. Okay. So next, you got logs folder where you have all the log details, log activity. Okay, you'll have all the log activity here. Yes. Next, we got temp folder where you have temporary files and all. Okay, all the temporary files which are used by the server, so we don't need to bother about it. Just now, as we have discussed, in the web apps folder, what you'll have? Yes. Why do we use web apps folder? So you will add your web applications. Okay, you will add you will add all your web applications here in this web apps folder. Okay, so after developing the web application, we need to host it on the server, right? So this is what you will do. In order to host it on the server, you have to add your web application to this web apps folder. We'll talk about work folder later on when we go through JSPs. Okay, so while I talk about JSPs, we'll see this. Okay, fine. So these are all the files which you got here. Next, now before we start developing the web applications, so we'll try to integrate the Tomcat server, with the Eclipse ID. Please make a note of it. Integrating Tomcat server with the Eclipse ID. Okay. Yes. Yes. First of all, make sure that you open Java Enterprise Edition Perspective. How do we open Java Enterprise Edition Perspective? You have this option Java EE here. Can you see this on the extreme right side on top? Okay, Java EE. Okay, select this option. Check this option. So what we are doing, we are making sure that the Java Enterprise Edition Perspective is open. Okay. What do I mean by the perspective? Yes. Perspective means you'll get the tools and wizards which will help you people to develop enterprise applications. Okay. Now you see Once you open this enterprise edition perspective down, you'll find a servers tab. Yes, servers tab is there. Now under this servers tab, you should see all the servers which are integrated with this Eclipse ID. Okay. As of now, no server is integrated with Eclipse ID, so you won't find any servers. Okay. So the first step in integrating Tomcat server is to select this server tab. Okay, please make a note of it. Now you can click on this option. No servers are available. Click this link to create a new server. Okay, click on this option. Once you do that, you'll get a pop-up window. Maximize this pop-up window. You should see Apache here. This is a wizard which will help you people to configure that server details. Okay, yes. Expand this Apache option. Expand Apache. Okay. So once you expand that Apache option, you'll find list of servers. Now, which server you want to integrate the version of server, you can select it. As of now, I got Tomcat 7. I would like to integrate Tomcat 7 with this Eclipse ID. Okay. So I selected it, Tomcat 7. So if you have installed Tomcat 8, you can integrate Tomcat 8. Okay, appropriately. It depends. Now server host name. Host name means this server is hosted on which machine as of now. That machine host name. As of now, it is on the same machine, so it is localhost. If it is on some other machine, you can give the IP address or host name of that machine. Okay. Next, the server name you can leave it as is. Click on next. You see, it will ask you people to specify the the installation directory details. Okay. So installation directory means Tomcat installation directory means the place where we have installed Tomcat server. Okay. Now browse to the location where you got the Tomcat server. Then select it, Tomcat 7. Click on OK. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. So it should be referring to this server, that folder, main folder, where you have the Tomcat server files. Okay. Yes. Next, now you can click on finish straight away. Okay. Click on finish. So I'll click on finish. You see, that's it. Okay, now there is one last step here in this integration. You see, under the servers tab, you will find this Tomcat server now, okay, which we have integrated. Earlier there was nothing, right? Now it will show you that Tomcat server. Now you double click on this server, double click on this Tomcat server. Yes. Here on top, you should see the Tomcat configurations on top. Maximize this window on top. This is a Tomcat server configurations window. Now you can check the second option which you got here. You see you got three radio buttons, right? Radio buttons, server locations. You got three radio buttons. Select the middle one. Select the middle one. Okay. Yes. Next, see you got deploy path. Did you make people make a note of it? The second the radio button which you got here. Use Tomcat installation. That is a radio button which you need to select. Okay. Next we got deploy path. Yes. Deploy path means deploy path. It refers to the folder where you have this Tomcat server. Tomcat server's web apps folder. In the Tomcat server, we got web apps folder, right? Web apps folder, it is used to deploy the applications. So we need to specify that Tomcat server's web app folder details. Yes, where we'll be hosting our applications. Click on browse. And go to the location where you have this web apps folder in the Tomcat server. You see, this is a folder. Select it. Next, click on OK. Now you see the deploy path. It refers to that web apps folder of the Tomcat server. That's it. And you know, we have to change the port number of the Tomcat server. Port number. You see, on the right side, we got HTTP port. On the right side, we got HTTP port. Yes. You see, under the ports, you should see that sometimes four ports will be minimized. Sometimes it may be minimized. You won't see that. So expand this ports. Under that ports, you should see HTTP 1.1. That is a connector port, we say. So by default, it will be 8080. By default, it will be 8080. Change it to 9999. Okay. Yes. Change it to 9999. Yes. Okay. So generally I use this port number 9999. So it's better. Now you can save this configurations. You see on top you will find save all or save option is there. No? Control S or save. You can click on the save button. That's it. Okay. So I'll close this now. That's it. Okay. So hope everyone has made a note of this. Any questions in this regard? Okay, good. Now you can try testing this server. So we'll try to start the server here. Okay. So you see, as of now, the status it shows it is stopped. So you can select this server, right click on it, select the server, right click on it, and you have start option. Click on start. Once you do that, you see server will start. Now it should show this status has started. Okay. Now you see you got the console tab. If you open the console tab, you should see the server logs, the server activity when it was starting. So that activity is also displayed here. This is what you'll see. Yes. So again, if you want to stop it, stop the server, you can do the same. So go to the servers tab, right click on it, you find stop option. Okay. Yep. Now let's do one thing here. We'll try to create a web project. we'll create a web project. Okay. Yes. Web project means which represents a web application. Yes. Please make a note of it if you want. So here you see under the file you have new option, right? So what we are doing, please make a note of it, creating a dynamic web project, creating a web project, I can say, creating a web project. Okay. Yes. We are creating a web project. For that, first option is to select file new. Dynamic web project option should be selected here. File new, dynamic web project. Okay. Select this dynamic web project option. Okay. So create the project. So with this name, so you can give any name. So first web proj. Okay. Now the target runtime. If you come down, you see you'll find the target runtime. So target runtime means what do people think? What is it? So what is target runtime? Target runtime means it represents the server on which you want to deploy or host this application. Okay, on which server you want to deploy your application. So on which server you want the application to execute. On which server you want the application to execute. So here we have specified it as Tomcat 7. So it indicates that we want to host our web application on Tomcat 7 server. Next, a dynamic web module version. Okay, so this one it represents the servlet API version. It represents the servlet API version. Yes. Okay. So it represents Servlet API 3. So we got previous versions of Servlet API also like 2.5, 2.4 and all. So the main difference between Servlet 3 and its previous versions is that Servlet API 3, you'll find that in this Servlet API version 3, we can configure the servlets using annotations. So in previous versions of Servlet API, like 2.5, 2.4 versions of Servlet API, you'll find that we have to configure the servlet using XML. Okay, in the XML file, we have to configure the servlets. So we use web.xml file for that purpose. But with the introduction of 3, so we can avoid XML. Without using XML, still we can configure servlets using annotations, I can say. Okay, yeah. So now I'll click on finish. Okay, just click on no, don't click on finish, click on next, click on next. So once you click on next, you see it will ask you people to specify the root context root. So let it be first web app itself. Content directory, let it be web content itself. Content directory means where you will add your web application contents and all. Yes, let it be web content. Now you see, you can check this option, generate web.xml file. Okay, a deployment descriptor, we say it is a deployment descriptor as well. Okay, deployment descriptor. Okay, yes, I'll click on finish. Okay, so now you see we got this web application. Now generally, what do we do with the web applications? Okay, we have developed it. What do you think? Why do we use this web applications? So we can use web applications to provide different types of services, to share the data, to 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 provide services, and I can say as well as to share the data as well. Yes. Okay. Yep. Yes. So when I say resources, what does that means? Resources means it can be anything. They can be static or non-static resources. Resources include data or any files, even any services also sometimes. Okay. Yes. Okay. The resources can be data, can be any file or any service. Okay. So now let's do one thing through our web application. So we'll try to share a resource. So what resource we'll share here? So I'll share a image file. Let's say. Okay. Let's try to do that. I'll try to share an image file through this application. Just a second. So you see, I'll copy one of the image here. Rename it tulips. Okay. So I'll copy one of the image and I'll paste it here in the where we have to paste it, where we have to place it in the web application. Okay. So we need to add it in the web content folder. Make a note of it. So that image file, just add it to the web content folder here. You should see a web content folder. Add it under the web content folder. That's it. So this is what you need to do. Now you see this resource is ready for sharing, I can say. So don't we need to write any code here to share this resource through this web application? I can say not needed. Okay. Yes. So now we have got this web application which is ready. We'll try to host this application or deploy this application on the server. Okay, now just make a note of it. So how to host or deploy this application on the server? How to host this application or deploy this application on the server? So for that, what you need to do is select the project. Okay, right click on it, and you should see run as run on server option here. Okay, run as run on server. Yes. Okay, run on server. Select this option, run on server. So when you select this option, run on server, now it will show you the list of servers which you got here. And already while creating the server, while creating the web project, we have mentioned that we want to run this application on the Tomcat server. So it is showing you that server here. So it is asking you on which server you want to run. So select this Tomcat server and click on finish. That's it. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. So can you people hear me? Okay, thank you. So now we have hosted this application or deployed this application. We have deployed it on the server. Okay. Next, this application now where it is on the Tomcat server. Now we have hosted it on the Tomcat server. So we should be able to find this application on the Tomcat server. You see, you got the Tomcat application folder here, right? You got this Tomcat folder. Open it. You see, now in this folder, in the Tomcat server folder, where you will find that application, where it will be added. What do you people think? Where it is added? So it will be added under the web apps folder. Yes, you should see that application. You should find that application under the web apps. Okay. So your first web project is here. Now it is hosted here, right? Yeah. So open this first web project. You will find that image file that looks here. You see. So who added this application or this project here to this server? Who added this project to the server here? What do you people think? Eclipse. That's right. You see, Eclipse IDE, it is greatly simplifying the process of creating a web application, not only web application, but any type of Java application. It greatly simplifies that process for us, right? Yes. It helped us to create that web application with a structure, and then you see we are able to host it on the server. Yes, fine. So here, if you open this webin folder, you should see subfolders like classes, lib, and web.xml file. So as of now, the classes folder will be empty. There's nothing. Lib folder is also empty because we are not using any third-party libraries. And we got a web.xml file here. Okay, we got a web.xml file. Yes. So in this web.xml file, as of now, we won't have much. It's nothing. This welcome file list is not nothing here, I can say. Okay, don't worry about it. So we'll see this later. So what is this welcome.xml file? So especially this welcome file list, even if you delete it, there is no harm. Okay, we're not using it. You'll come to know about it later. Yeah. So this is what we have. So now the question is here, I would like to access that resource, that image file, which is in that application, in the web application. Now, how can we access that resource, that image file? You see, why we have added to that web application so that your clients can access it, so that we can share it with everyone through the web, right? Yes. So let's see how to access it. So if you want to access that web application, sorry, that resource, that image file, which is part of that web application, then first of all, you need a URL for that. You need a URL to access that image file. You need a URL. URL stands for Uniform resource locator. Uniform resource locator. Okay. Yes. Here, URL is nothing but a string which uniquely identifies a resource on the web. URL is a string which uniquely identifies a resource on the web, or I can say in simple terms, it's an address of a resource. So for every resource in the web, you'll have an address. Okay. Yes. Now, the URL of that resource, that image file, is http colon double slash localhost. I'll explain it, don't worry. Colon double slash host web proj slash tulips.jpg. So this is the URL of that resource, tulips jpg. Okay, let me explain it. You see, we'll try to read this URL from right to left, from extreme left right to left. First of all, you see on the extreme right side, you got the resource name, I mean that image file name. Next, after that, here you see we got the details about the application in which you have this resource. Okay. Okay, so it indicates that this image file is in that project or in that application whose name is first web proj, and this first web proj in turn it is hosted on a server, right? So where is this application? It is part of the server. So that server has got a port number. That server has got a port number. Yes. Okay. Yes. So that server port number is 9999. While integrating the Tomcat server with Eclipse ID, we saw that, right? Yes. Okay. So localhost, what is this localhost? Now this server, Tomcat server, whose port number is 9999, where it is hosted or where it is installed, it is on the same machine as of now, right? So we got it on the same machine. Yes. Localhost. If this server, if it is hosted on a different machine, then you can give the IP address of that machine here. Okay, so anything is fine. You can give the IP address of that machine. Yes. So this is what we need to do here. We will specify the URL which indicate which includes all the details here. Okay. Yes. So this is the address of your resource. Now we can copy this URL. You can copy this URL and simply paste it in GoToMeeting. Sorry, GoToMeeting, not in the browser. Just paste it in the browser. Yes. Press enter. Oops, it says we don't have this resource. Just a minute. First web launch. The lips.jpg, right? Let me see. Oh, so what is the issue? You'll find that T is it is in small case. T. Okay. Image file name. T is in small case. Yep. You see, you got the resource. So what we are doing here, basically we are providing the details about the resource, I mean the URL, to the browser or your web client. Now what the browser or web client does, so it will try to connect to that server. It will place a request. It will place a request, yes, for this resource. It will connect to the server, will place a request for that resource. Now the server will take that request, and in turn it will respond back to the client by providing that resource. So this is how it is going to work. Okay. Fine. Now I'll show you people uh, pictorially how it works so that it will be helpful for you people. Now what we did, you see, we got a server, right? We got a Tomcat server, so which is listening on the port number 9999. Now we have developed a web application and we have hosted it on the server. It is hosted on this server. So that project name is first web proj, and in this project we have this image file. So the image file name is tulips.jpg, right? So this is what we got here. So we have a server. On the server we have this web application, and as part of this server, sorry, as part of this web application, you got that image file. Yes. Okay. Now from the client, from the browser, we can access that resource. Now what we'll do here, so in the browser, in the client, we'll type in the URL. We'll type in the URL. This is your web client. Okay. Yes. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. So you see in the web client, we'll type in the URL of that resource. So web client, what it does now, web client which you're using is Google Chrome. So it will connect to the server, and this is the first thing what it does is it reads at server details, and it will connect to the server. So it establishes connection. Next thing, internally it does that. Next, how it places a request, always a web client, what it does in order to place the request, can you people tell me? Yes. So it constructs a HTTP request. If you people remember, always the client, what it does, so if it wants to place the request on the server, it constructs a HTTP request. Okay. Yes. So once you see, as part of this HTTP request, it will add that request information, resource information. So which resource it wants to add, sorry, which resource it wants to access, that resource details, you see, they'll be added to this HTTP request itself. Next, you see, the server will take this request. You know, the server has got the capability to handle a request which is placed for static resource. Okay, whenever the server receives a request for a static resource, you see the server has got the capability to take that request, and what it does is here it will search for that resource. If it finds it, simply it constructs a HTTP response, and it will send that resource as part of that response back to the client. That's it. HTTP response. Yep. Okay, so this way you see the client and server will interact with each other. Yeah. So is it clear for you people, all of you? So can I have yes or no? Okay, good. So hope everyone got it. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. So now you see, without writing any Java code or any code here to that matter, so we are able to share a static resource. I can say share that image file. Basically, that image file is a static resource. Yes. By default, the server has got the capability to take a request, a request, especially a static request. The server has got the capability to process the request which is placed for static resource, I can say. The server has got the capability to process a request which is placed for static resource. Yes. Okay. So when I say static resource, what does that means? Web resources can be classified into two types. Yes. Static resource means static resource means the resource whose content will not change from the resource whose content will not change from request to request or from user to user. Yes. Okay. Static resource means the resource whose content will not change from request to request or from user to user. Such resource is called as a static resource. Okay. Can you people give me some examples for static resource? Static resource means now understood, right? The resource whose content won't change from request to request or from user to user. Yes. So image file is one such example, right? File sharing, I can say examples are a HTML file, yeah, a video file, audio file, yeah. So these are all examples of static resources, right? A JavaScript file, you mean to say? If that is the case, yeah, yes, CSS file. So a Word document, a text document, these are all the examples. Okay, you know, when we talk about web resources, okay, this is one type of web resource, static resource. Again, you'll find that we got dynamic resources as well. So what is a dynamic resource? When I say dynamic resource, that means the content of the resource will not change from, sorry, will change from user to user or from request to request. A dynamic resource, you'll find that the content of that resource will change from user to user or from request to request. Yes. Such resources are called as dynamic resources. Okay. So can you people give me some examples? I said the resource whose content will change from user to user or from request to request. Yes. So opposite to static resources. Always the content will be changing. Yes. No. Example can be your inbox, your mail inbox. You see, generally we'll try to log in into your mail accounts, right? So by logging into your mail account, so we are placing the request for the inbox. Am I right? By logging into the mail account, what we are doing, we are placing the request for the inbox. So that is what we are doing. Yes. Okay. Inbox is one such example. So if you log into your mail account, you're placing a request for inbox, and you'll find that you'll get a different content. And if I log into my inbox, I'm going to get different content. Okay. And now you tell me, give me one example. Yeah. Okay. No idea. Fine. You know, your bank account. So if you access your bank account online, accessing your online account. So if you log in, you'll get different. You'll get different content. If I log in, I'll get different account details, right? So Facebook, Twitter, anything you take, right? Yes. So hope you people got it. Yes. Okay, so um, now you see you'll find that the resources, just a minute please, just a minute. Sorry, guys. So there was some trouble with the power. Just a second. Can you people hear me? Can you people hear me? Okay, thank you. So now you understood dynamic resources as well. Yes. Right. So you know you'll find that the server, it has got only the capability to handle static resources. That means a request which is placed for static resource, server will be able to handle that request which is placed for static resource. Okay, but your server cannot handle a request which is placed for dynamic resource. Okay, server, you'll find that it will not be able to handle a request which is placed for dynamic resource. Static resource, because processing is not needed. It all it needs to do is just find that resource which the client is asking for and supply it. When we talk about dynamic resource, there is some background processing which needs to be done. Okay. Yes, and who will do this processing? What do people think? Server won't do it. Server will take the request, but it won't handle it. The processing, who is going to take care of it? Yes. Oh, I can say servlet. Okay, we will write that servlet, of course. We will create the servlet. The servlet will be processing the client's request here. Okay, yes. This is how it works. So now whenever the server, it receives a request from the client for a dynamic resource, it will take that request and it will forward it to the, it will forward it to the servlet. In turn, servlet will handle that request. Okay, in turn, servlet is going to handle this request. Yes. So servlet, that is what we are going to talk about now. So to handle that request which is placed for dynamic resource, we use servlet. What is a servlet? Servlet is a server side component which is responsible for handling or processing, I can say, a web client's request, generates response dynamically, and sends it back to the client. It will send it back to the client here. Yes. Please make a note of it. Yes. So did you people make a note of it? Okay. Now the question is, so how do we create a servlet? How do we create a servlet? So that is where your servlet API comes into the picture. That is where a servlet API, it comes into the picture. Yes. So in the servlet API, we got two predefined classes. One is generic servlet class, and the other one is HTTP servlet class. So these two predefined classes, you'll find that they are in two different packages. Okay. Yes. So now you can use one of the predefined classes to create the servlet. Either you can use a generic servlet class here or HTTP servlet class. Okay, you can use generic servlet class or HTTP servlet class here. Yes. So now first of all, we'll create a servlet using generic servlet class. Okay, so you'll find that uh, a servlet is also just like any other Java class, but it is a special, something special. How it is special? It is mainly used to handle a web client's request. So that is a specialty about the servlet. Okay, so it is mainly responsible for handling a web client's request. I can say it's mainly responsible for handling a web client's request. Yes. So in the servlet class, okay, so we can use this generic servlet class. Okay, we can create a servlet class by extending this generic servlet class, and in that class, servlet class, we can write the request processing code. Generally, what happens is in the generic servlet class, we got a method called a service. In that service method, you'll be writing the request processing code. Okay, that request processing logic. So where you will write it in the service method. Okay, you'll write it in the service method. So let me show you people how it works. Okay, yes. Just a second, just a second. Give me 1 minute. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Now let's see how to use a servlet. So as I told you people, it is used to handle a client's request and all. So to show you people how to use a servlet, first of all, I'll create a web page. In this web page, I will add a registration form, and we'll use a servlet to handle that registration form request using the servlet. Whenever this form is submitted, I want the servlet to be invoked. Read the sorry form details and process that form request accordingly. Okay. Yes. So let's see how to create a web page. This is where we'll use your HTML. Okay. Yes. Now, first of all, here let's see how to create this HTML page using Eclipse IDE and where to add that HTML page. The HTML page also is a static file, so we'll add it to the web content folder. Okay, I'll select this web content directory, right click on it. You got new HTML file option here. You should see HTML file option. Okay, new HTML file. Select this option. So what is that file name? Register.html. Okay, click on finish. Now you see you got the basic template for that HTML file. Yes. Here you see the root element of the HTML file will be HTML itself. You got the head where you can add the title for that page. So what title you want for that page? Let's say registration form or register form. And now you see the body tags between the body tag. You can write all the content which you want to display in that web page. Whatever the content you want to display in the web page, so we'll add it here between this web content, sorry, between the body element. Yes. So that is how it works. So now let me add a header. See, between the body tag I'm adding a header. What is it? Register form. Now what I did, I've added a header. So let me align this header to the center of the page. So we use H2 tag, we can use H1, H2, H3, H4 for headers. Now which H header tag you're using, it depends on the size. Based on that, your header size will depend. So I generally use H2. Okay, next, what we'll do is we'll add a form. How to create a form here? How to create a form? Yes. Now to create a form, we use form element. Use form element. Okay. Yes. Form element is used. Now in the form, so what we'll do here, we'll add the text fields through which users can supply the details. For suppose I would like to take first name, last name, phone and email address. So these are the details which I would like to take from the users. First name. So you see, I want to, to read that first name, last name, city and state details. Sorry, not city. Phone, and email, let's say. City as well. So these are the details which I want to take from the clients here. Okay. Yeah. So for the users or for the users we have to provide this text fields where where they can use them to type in the data. Okay. Yes. What I'll do is I'll take the help of a table here to add this text fields. Why, I'll tell you. So if I use a table, then it helps us to uh, align that labels and text fields. So I'll create a table with 5 rows, and each row, so we'll divide it into 2 parts or 2 cells, I can say. In the first cell we'll have that label. The second cell will have that text field. Okay, so we'll have a label here. Label means just text content, and in the second cell I'll have the text field. So we can neatly align these labels and text fields with the help of a table. Okay. So let's see how to create a table here in this HTML page. So we use table tag for that purpose, and you see to create a row in the table, so we'll use tr tag. So in each row we want two cells, right? You use a td tag to create a cell. So in the first cell I will add the label, say first name, and in the second cell will add a text field. Yes. This way. Now what we did, we have created a row here in this line. Tr tag represents the row, and that row has got two cells. The first cell has got that label first name. Sorry, the first cell has got that label first name. Sorry, and the second cell has got the text field. That's it. So similarly, we'll add one more row. I'll add 5 rows altogether. So for first name, last name, see I'll create another text field here, last name. So how we are creating a text field using the input tag, input type equal to text. Have you people noticed it? So we are creating a text field using this input tag, type equal to text. Next, we'll add a city field. We'll add a phone and email address. That's it. Got it? Now I have to change the text field names also accordingly. I didn't do that. City, phone, email. Next, now after user is done typing in the data, user needs to submit a form. So to submit this form, so we have to add a submit button. So I'll add one more row here, but you see in this row we'll have only one cell. We can add a submit button using the input text field itself. You see, input type equal to submit. We use input tag itself, but the type attribute value we have to specify it as submit. That's it. And the value which I want to display on the submit button, that says register. Yes. That's it. Okay. So this way we'll create a form. Let's see how this looks like. So you got a form with this face. Now, when this form is submitted, so who should process this request when this form is submitted? Who's supposed to process this request? Yes, just now I told you people who's supposed to process the form request. The servlet. Okay, so servlet is responsible for handling the client's request. Servlet is responsible for handling the client's request. Now let's create a servlet. Okay, yes. Okay, we'll try to create a servlet here. So let's see how to do that. So in order to create a servlet, you'll find that we have to define a class, make that class extends generic servlet class. We saw that, right? So we have to make the class extends generic servlet or HTTP servlet. As of now, we'll use HTTP servlet. Okay, yes. Sorry, generic servlet, not HTTP. And then we have to override that service method, and we have to also configure the servlet details. So all these things, let's see how to do that. So, you know, to help us easily create a servlet and configure it, your wizard, your Eclipse IDE, I'm sorry, Eclipse IDE, it provides a wizard. Okay, and we can make use of that. So let's try to use that servlet wizard which is provided by the Eclipse IDE to create a servlet. Okay, yes. So, so you see in the source folder under the Java resources, you should see source folder. See under the source folder, right click on it, select the source folder, and right click on it. You should see new servlet wizard option here. You should see a servlet wizard option. So select this servlet wizard and we can provide that package details. Servlet is also a class, as I told you people. Let's say register servlet. The class name, I'm giving the name as register servlet. Okay. Yes. Next, so we'll make this class extends generic servlet class. As of now, you see by default it shows this HTTP servlet class, but we'll make it extends generic servlet class. Okay. So I'll change the superclass details. Generic servlet, and then click on next. This is Java6 servlet or generic servlet. Click on next. Now once you click on next, as I told you people, after the servlet is created, we have to configure that servlet class details. After the servlet is created, we need to configure the servlet class details. In order to configure the servlet class details, so we'll be using annotations. We'll be using annotations. Okay. Yes. So for every servlet which is configured, we'll have a name for that servlet and we'll have a URL. For each servlet, you'll have a URL which is nothing but a string, I can say. For each servlet, you'll have a URL which is nothing but a string. Yes. So down you see URL mapping. We have to specify the URL for this servlet. We have to specify the URL for this servlet. So what will be the URL for this servlet here? It is your wish. So I'll configure the URL as register process. Register process. You can double click on that URL. You see you got this URL mapping, right? Under that you have this, double click on it and give the name as a values register process. That's it. Okay. Next, you can click on next or you can click on finish. That's it. Let's click on finish. So now what you're looking at here, see, is a servlet class and it is generated by the servlet wizard. You see that Eclipse ID itself, uh, it creates that servlet wizard here. Yes. Okay. Now we got that servlet. Let me expand this. I'll just delete all the waste stuff which is not needed, the default constructors and all. Now you see you got this register servlet class which extends generic servlet and it implements servlet interface, but we'll see this later. Okay, I'll remove this part. It extends generic servlet, you see. You see, in the servlet class we got the service method and it takes two parameters. So what are the parameter types? Can you people tell me? What are the two parameters you see this method takes here? The service method, it takes two parameters, right? So what are the parameter types? One is servlet request, the other one is servlet response, right? Servlet request and servlet response. So we'll see this parameters later on. Now you see, where is the service method defined here initially? Service method, where it is defined? Service method, you'll find that it is actually defined in the generic servlet class. And here you will find that this class, register servlet class, it is overriding the generic method. What is it doing? It is overriding that service method which it inherits from the generic servlet class. Okay, yeah. So generic servlet class is a abstract class. Generic servlet class is a abstract class. So now you see, on top of this class, an annotation is used at the rate web servlet. So what is this? We call it as a annotation. So at the rate web servlet is a annotation. This is an annotation. Got it? So it indicates that here this class is a servlet class. And what is this register process here? Slash register process in the double quotes. Register process, what is it? Can you people tell me what is that register process? It's a URL. Register process, what is it? It's a URL. Okay. URL. Yes. Now the clients will use this URL to access the servlet, I can say. Whenever the client submits that form, I want the this servlet service method to be invoked. I want this servlet's service method to be invoked. Okay. So how do we associate this servlet to that register form? Yes. Okay. Hope you understood this, right? So how to associate the servlet to that form? That means whenever that form is submitted, I want the servlet's service method to be invoked. Let's see. So copy this URL and in the form action, you have to assign that servlet's URL. In the form action, assign the servlet class URL. That is what you need to do. Okay. So please make a note of it. So always the URL of that servlet, you'll configure it here in the action attribute, form action attribute. Okay. Yes. So whenever this form is submitted, what happens? Now the client will read this form data, and it will construct a HTTP request and it will send it to the server. So it includes this register process, that action value as well. So on the server side, when the server takes this request, so it understands that the client wants to clients wants the client want to process the client wants this request to be processed by register process servlet, or register servlet, I can say. Okay, it understands that the request is for register servlet whose URL is register process. Okay, fine. What I'll do is here, so we'll see how to read that form data, but before that I'll just do this. I'll print this message. So whenever this method is called, service method is called, it will print this message in the console, register servlet. Okay, fine. Now I have a question for you people. Now when this register class service method will be called? Yes. Yes. When the form is submitted, I can say. So user submits the form, right? So when the user submits the form, you see the client or browser will send this request to a server, and on the server side, the service method of the servlet will be invoked. Yes. So we'll test it once. Okay. Let me deploy this application on the server. Okay. Now you see I'll clear the console, server console. Let's do one thing. I'll place the request for that HTML page here. You see, register.html. Yes. Okay. So I'm placing the request by typing in the URL. Check the URL here. Yes. Press enter. Now we got this page, register form. Let me just type in some data and we'll just submit this form. So when I do that, you see what happened. In the console, you'll find that the servlet service method is called. Okay. Right. You see, in that servlet, we are not reading that request information. So how will you read that request information? That is a question. Okay. So before we read the request information, so I will show you people something. Have you noticed it in the browser? The URL has changed. How the URL it changes in the address bar. Have you noticed it? Earlier it was register.html page now, HTML page, right? But now you see it has changed to register process, a question mark, and followed by first name equal to Harry ampersand, last name equal to J. I'll copy this part of the URL which has changed here. Okay, and I'll place it here. You see, register process. What is this register process? It's a URL of the servlet. So who's constructing this string now? the browser, you see, after the URL, you have this ampersand, sorry, question mark, and followed by that first name equal to Harry, ampersand, last name equal to J, ampersand, city equal to Hyderabad, ampersand, phone, ampersand, email address. That's it. That's it. These are all name value pairs. What is first name, last name, city, phone, email? Where we saw this? Yes, these are all the text field names. These are all text field names, I think. Am I right? And you say what value user has typed in the text field, that values are assigned here. This is text fields. So we call them as form parameters. We call them as form parameters. So this way, always the browser will read this form data and it will send it to the server. Okay. So on the server side, you see all this information which you got here, it will be in turn forwarded to the servlet. It is in turn forwarded to the servlet. Okay. Yes. Okay. So this way, you see, always the browser will send the form data to the server. Okay. So now how do we use this form parameters or data and process the client's request? That is what you need to know. Okay. Yes. That is what we need to know. So we have to write that code to read that form parameters in the servlet. Okay. How the servlet will be able to read that form parameters or that form data? The server, what it does, so it will store that form data in the request object and it will send it to the servlet. Okay. But I'll show you people how to read that form data and how to send the response back to the client in the next class. Okay. So we'll do it in the next class. Yeah. But so far, hope you understood how to create a servlet, how to associate a servlet to the form, and we see whenever we submit the form, how the browser is reading that form data and sending it to the server. right? Yes. So any questions in this regard, please let me know. Okay, so I'll stop it here today. Okay, and let's meet tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saturday, there is no class, right? Saturday evening, there is a class for you people who are in US. So that means next class is on Sunday at the rate 4:30 a.m. Indian time. Okay. Yes. So thank you all. Bye bye. So it will be a long session for 4 hours.